Good morning to all present here. I'm Ramya Devi working as Assistant Professor in SNS College of Technology. Today I'm going to share a small article regarding functions in Python. So what is a function? A function is a block of code which can be reused in a Python program or any other programming languages. So we will see a comprehensive guide for generating a Python code for fruitful functions. So in this video, we are going to cover understanding fruitful functions, the return values in fruitful functions, and also the parameters used in the functions. So first we'll see understanding what is a fruitful function. So the definition behind function is, so functions are those that return a value after execution. So it can be called in any part of a program. So once the function is called by its name, so the block of code inside the function will be executed. So, and the function will be executed only it is called and also return a value to whom it has been called. And also that part of code can be reused anywhere and how much ever times in the program. So the functions are those that return a value after execution, which allows for further use of the result in other operations also, which provides an additional functionality in program. So using the fruitful functions enhances code reusability and also the modularity, making it easier to debug and maintain while allowing the complex operations to be broken down into smaller tasks. So here a big function or a big task has been divided into smaller ones so that it can be written as a block of code and give as a name called function. So whenever the block of code it has to be executed by the program, so it can be called in any part of the program so that it enhances the code reusability and also the modularity technique in which it makes it easier to debug and maintain while allowing the complex operations to be broken down into smaller, simpler tasks. And also the written values are the outcomes that fruitful functions produce, which can be captured in variable for subsequent use, enabling logic to flow effectively in a program. So one and also in the functions we have like written values, we have the parameters and arguments. So which can be passed inside a function. So the parameters are inputs which is defined in a function that specify that data to expect, while arguments are the actual values passed to these parameters during the function calls, which allows the flexibility in functionality so that the parameters and the arguments can be changed. So whenever it can be given for another operations also. And now we are going to see the return values in fruitful function. So we have two types of return values. One is single return value, the other one is multiple return value. A single return value is a standard feature in most functions where a function computes something and returns one distinct value after the execution, which forms the basis for many programming tasks. And also when it comes to multiple return values, allow functions to return more than one piece of information at a time, which facilitates more complex data handling and also it supports efficiency in coding practices. So the return values will be returned to the function it has been called. And these are the practical examples of the functions. So here the basic return value example is, so this example illustrates a simple function that processes an input and returns a single output, which demonstrates a fundamental concept of a functional value and usage in programming, and also using tuples for multiple returns. So here we explore a function that returns multiple values packed into a tuple, showcasing how to easily manage and extract multiple data points in initiative ways. So here we are going to see what are the parameters in fruitful function. So the possible positional parameters and keyword parameters are the two types of parameters which are used in the functions. So the first is positional parameters and the most common type where values are assigned based on their position in a function call, ensuring the order is preserved. So whenever a function call has been made, so where the first value determines the first first value in the argument of the function. So for example, if we are calling an add function which passes two parameters called 5 comma 3, and also we have an add function here, add of a comma b. So a will be assigned to 5 and b will be assigned to 3. So that is called as a positional parameter. Here we have a keyword parameters which allows for values to be assigned to parameters based on their name in the function call, which enhances the clarity and order flexibility for users. For example, the same example if we take add 5 comma 3 add of a comma b. So here we can assign a keyword parameter like a is equal to 3 and b is equal to 5. So it is when we call the function, so here the add of a comma b, here a will be assigned as 3 and b will be assigned as 5. So this is the difference between the positional parameter and the keyword parameter. And also we have default parameter values. So whenever any parameter has not given, it will take the default value. For example, default parameters provide a predefined values that a function can use if no argument is supplied, streaming function execution and improving the usability. And also the args and quarks in functions. The args and quarks syntax allows functions to accept an arbitrary number of positional and keyword arguments respectively, making them adaptable to diverse use cases. Thank you.